Hello, it is the last day of the trading week, and for today's Targets in Focus, I am joined by emerging markets strategist Thu Lan Nguyen at Commerzbank in Frankfurt to discuss the performance of the Polish zloty, the Romanian RON and the ruble. So first of all, let's have a look at the Polish zloty. Polish inflation figures were released yesterday. How was this currency performing before and after this data?
Ahead of the data, the Polish zloty was performing relatively well. However, I think the lower than anticipated CPI figures have further fueled rate cut speculation. The NBP has already signaled that another cut will be on the agenda in January, but we do think that the economy will be faltering more significantly than many people currently anticipate, including the central bank itself. And so we see a great chance of an aggressive monetary easing and therefore a moderately weaker Polish zloty, obviously due to these cyclical factors. I forecast a moderately weaker zloty against the euro. So my 1 month forecast is around 4.22, 6 months 4.20, and 12 months 4.05. Basically, I still think that over the medium to long term, the zloty has great catch-up potential.
And moving to Romania, can you tell me what impact the current political uncertainty in Romania has had on the Romanian currency against the euro?
We've already seen since the impeachment referendum on President Băsescu that the volatility on euro-RON has increased compared to historic levels. So definitely the political uncertainty since then has brought quite some volatility in the exchange rates, which the central bank has been trying to counter. And of late, we've seen more of RON weakness, obviously, until yesterday. And the move we've seen in euro-RON yesterday down to levels below 4.50 was mostly due to the fact that markets were starting to price out political uncertainty now that the Social Democrats have won an absolute majority, and it seems ever more likely that Băsescu will nominate the Prime Minister Ponta again. So people are becoming more optimistic about it, and therefore the RON risk premium has declined significantly. However, we do remain skeptical regarding the political situation in Romania, particularly as first of all, Băsescu has not commented on who he will nominate. And although the likelihood is quite high that he will nominate Ponta, the question is what will happen thereafter. As we know by now, the Social Democrats have promised less fiscal consolidation rather than more, and we will have to see if the IMF will be willing to compromise on things. And if not, obviously the negotiations will not go as smoothly as many people anticipate currently. So I do think that the euro-RON levels below 4.50 are quite fragile against this background. So I forecast a correction of euro-RON towards the 4.58 area over 1 month and towards 4.60 over 6 months. But obviously, if the economy starts to recover thereafter and the Central Bank of Romania stops easing its monetary policy, the RON might be able to recover somewhat, but I forecast a weaker RON around 4.54 12 months.
And now let's have a look at the ruble against the US dollar. What are the main factors influencing the performance of this currency pair?
The ruble has been able to hold its ground against the dollar. Obviously, we've seen some dollar weakness over the past weeks as well towards the FOMC meeting and now with the fiscal cliff issues drawing near. So we continue to see quite a solid performance of the ruble until year end. Obviously, oil prices remain relatively supportive as long as they remain stable. However, the appreciation potential of the ruble is very limited because the central bank is keeping an eye on the exchange rate, and it has become quite obvious that the central bank feels quite comfortable with basket ruble levels around 35. If we see too much of a deviation, either to the upper or downside, it will intervene. So we're looking more for a sideways trade with possibly a slightly stronger ruble over the short term. But over the next year, I think as the U.S. will emerge from this fiscal cliff issue, we see a great chance that it will avoid it, and the economy will recover significantly. I think we will see some more dollar strength, particularly against the ruble, and therefore we see more appreciation potential of the ruble against the euro, which structurally is much weaker. And therefore, basket ruble remains relatively steady around the 35, even next year. For dollar ruble, we see relatively stable, as I said, around 30.75 over the next month. 6 months times 30.54, so a little bit stronger, and 12 months 30.13, which is also due to the fact that we forecast higher oil prices towards the end of next year of around $125 per barrel in Brent.
Thank you very much for today's interview. I wish you the very best of luck with your Christmas preparations and hope to speak to you sometime in the new year. Well, that is all for today's Targets in Focus. Have a pleasant weekend and remember to tune back in on Monday. Goodbye.